up, YouTube? Kedris here to do my match preview for Nottingham Forest versus Braga in the Europa League. This match will be taking place in Portugal tomorrow or Thursday, depending on when you're watching this. And I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup, and the result could go either way, as crazy as that is to say. But we're coming off a feel-good kind of draw with Arsenal at the weekend, and they are coming off of a win in Liga Portugal on Sunday. This is going to be an interesting matchup for both of us because, as you know, unfortunately, we're out of all the other cup competitions in our league. They too have bombed out of their cup competition for Liga Portugal and now only have to worry about the league and the Europa League, which means us. Now, I've seen a lot of things online of people talking about how it's going to be a cakewalk, it's going to be easy. I think this match is going to be a lot closer than people think. And I think we're going to get an interesting kind of peek into the mindset of Sean Dyche when it comes to prioritizing the Europa League and the Premier League. So, as with any match preview, we have to start with the most obvious thing: the injuries. Yes. John Victor, still out injured. Chris Wood, will we see him again this season? Seems to be the reoccurring question. Zinchenko, he's listed on here because we played against Arsenal. This was the injury page for it. He has been recalled to Arsenal and been sold to Ajax in the Eredivisie. So we won't be seeing him ever again. With news on that, at left back, since there seems to be a shortage, we do have Cubano, who played with the under-21s against PSG. I posted a little kind of like video of it that somebody dug up. Appreciate and shout out to them for him playing against the PSG under-21s. On another news for us, at least, we did reshuffle the Europa League squad and added Ola Aina and Angus Gunn to it while removing John Victor, who is injured. Interestingly enough, Hutchinson was not added officially to the squad. And I find that really interesting because he also didn't come on until really late at the weekend either. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm going to do some digging into it and get back to y'all, but I think it's really interesting that even now that the squad is open again for reshuffling, he hasn't been added. We can make up to 3 changes to the squad in January as long as they're not injury related. What to expect for our lineup and how we're going to play. I think we are going to go to the 4-2-3-1. I think we're going to stick with that. It seemed to work out real well. And based on Sean Dyche's comments after the match and in the presser earlier today, Igor Jesus has got a slight knock, but it's going to be basically a game time call whether he plays. So I'm going to remove him from my choices. Also, Dyche did indicate that the Europa League is the priority and that he wants to kind of he emphasized the feel-good factor of that match. So he kind of wants to keep the team together for consistency, which I think says a lot about what the lineup's going to be, because there's what it should be and then there's what Dyche decides to do. I think we start at the back, as we always do, and I think the obvious answer at this point is obviously Sells. There's no other option. Gunn, he's been added, but I don't think he's ever we're gonna see him except on the bench. Fullbacks, fullbacks and center backs are pretty much at this point locked and loaded. Obviously, you're gonna have Murillo, you're gonna have Milinkovic, you're gonna have Aina, who's back, part of the squad, and you're gonna have Williams. And I think at this point, we've all pretty much accepted that this is our settled back four. We had some questions about Milinkovic pretty early on in the season. Well, not early on, but lately in the season. And he's kind of stepped up the last week or two, especially against Arsenal. Will he be good in this matchup? I think actually Milinkovic is going to struggle in this match because they don't really play with a body-on-body striker who's physical and kind of like likes to press up against the center backs. Their front three, which I'm going to go into, are really fluid. And I need to take him off. He needs to get out of here. And So I think what we're going to see a lot of is him having to do a lot of box defending. I do think they're going to have the majority of the possession in this match, contrary to what people want to believe. For the midfield, Anderson, obviously. I think with his performance against Arsenal, especially how he locked up Odegaard, he's going to be essential. And it's good to see him getting back to his form, especially with Sangare, who I think will also start. Being back from AFCON, he really kind of gave Anderson that parachute comfort to be able to be aggressive, to do what he needs to do, and kind of make things happen. Moving on to the wingers, I think we're going to see a re of Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he's going to start, and this is going to hurt a lot of people. I think he's going to start on the right. I really do. I think what we're going to see is him starting on the right, and we're going to see Ndoye starting on the left. Why do you ask me that? Because Sean Dyche talked about continuity, about the feel-good factor. So I think what he's going to try to do is keep the same formation, keep the players in the same position, which actually gives away who I think is going to be the 10. Now I think about it. But he has to believe that in a matchup against Braga, against the Europa League, we have to be more attacking. So my thought process is he keeps the Odoi, keeps Gibbs White, and he takes Dominguez and he puts on his favorite player, Ndoye, on the left, which is unfortunate for Dominguez. I mean, he doesn't deserve to be cut. And honestly, it's a really good indicator of our quality of depth that I can say that, because he could be starting. He could be a starter. The problem is that our two starters of Sangare and Anderson are just so good that he doesn't make it into the team. And that's a good problem to have, to be honest. That's a really good problem to have. For the striker, unfortunately, I debated, because I think Igor is going to be game time, so I have to think that he's not going to play, was injured. So I was kind of throwing it up between whether he's going to start Dominguez on the left wing and then just put him Ndoye up front like he did at the end of the Arsenal game. But I think Dyche is going to fight. He's going to fight it, man. He's going to fight that instinct. He's going to want to start a striker who's big and annoying and perfect for his system. And even though we could start Ndoye up top, I think what you're going to see is it is going to be Awoniyi. I need to make these lower next time. I keep forgetting that. But I think that's going to be our lineup. Awoniyi, Ndoye, Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi, Sangare, Anderson, Williams, Murillo, Milinkovic, Aina, Sells. Moving on to the lineup for Braga. Did a little bit of research. This is the FOTMob auto-generated lineup. I did some research myself just to verify it, and it seems to be correct. They play a 3-4-2-1. So think Amarin at Manchester United. That's the formation they play, and they operate it very similar. So what they do is when they win the ball, they quickly move it up the pitch in a very counter-attacky kind of way. And then if they can't score from that counterattack, what they'll do is they'll sit there kind of interchanging play, being very fluid in the positions of the players and how they move around. And they'll play possession-based ball from there. And I think that's going to be a real problem for us, especially the counterattacking part, because I know Aina and Williams like to get up the pitch, and you're asking Milinkovic and Murillo to play up against these three players, Horta, Victor, and Zalazar, for basically fluid and interchange, and are more of speed technical players than physical players. So I think Milinkovic will struggle. I think we might concede a goal from his side, especially from Horta, who played for Portugal, could have went to La Liga and been a real sensation early on if he would have done it when he was younger. But he kind of got stuck in Liga Portugal. And I believe he is a quality player. He is one of their danger men. Also, Zelazar, he's been kind of coming up through the ranks. He's had 3 seasons at Braga, And for 3 seasons, he's been continuously developing, getting better and better a little bit at a time. I think he is a quality player, definitely. Victor from Barcelona and adds real, I wouldn't say nous to their attack, but he does the job. He's not really a very prolific striker, and I don't think he's going to be the problem specifically. He's more of like a sounding board for the center backs to be occupied with. Their midfield, Grosic and Matinho. Matinho, I mean, he's old as hell now, right? Like 39 or something like that. I don't know. But this midfield is very old, very slow. So if we're very quick on our counterattacks, we can definitely bypass it pretty easily. For the back line, the Akate, Carvalho, and Lager Bleco. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Very young, prone to mistakes. They will make them. Um, and I wouldn't say easy to get at, but very easy to exploit moments of hesitation and the mistakes they make. We can win this match. We can. But we also can't concede. And I think that's where the problem's going to lie because Milinkovic isn't going to have a striker he can bully in this match. For the fullbacks, Dorgeles and Lelo, they're pretty generic fullbacks. Like I said, it's a very fluid formation. So sometimes the center backs will be in the fullback position. Sometimes the fullback will come back and play in the center back position. Horta will interchange with Grislich and vice versa. So it's very fluid, very attacking, and they're very counter-attacky, which seems to be a problem for us this season. We need to be aggressive when we counterattack. We need to be aggressive, okay? This is just to show their last results from here, going backwards. Right now in the Europa League, we occupy position 11, okay? How many points does that put us from being out of the playoffs? 7. I think we're good. We have 2 matches left, the match this week and the match next week. So I think in that regards, if we can get 3 points from either one, obviously we're guaranteed to go in the playoffs. 1 point, I think, is also guaranteed for us to go in the playoffs. The issue becomes when we want to get in this top 8. Porto and Braga, right there, 7 and 8. Both of them are kind of they've won the last couple games, or one game in Braga's case, but they're very shaky. I think we can definitely get in here. It's going to be hard though because we're going to need the win. I think this match is going to determine whether we get top 8 or not. Because if we do win, then Braga will drop below us and we will be on 14 points and in that top 8 position. Whereas if we lose or we draw, then Braga are staying above us in that top 8 slot. So I think this match, for me at least, will determine our top 8 status. If we lose or draw, I don't think we're getting it. If we win, I think there's a very high chance we do. And then it's basically up to next week. Obviously, we have to show up for that match as well, which I think puts the Brentford game in jeopardy. But I'll get into that on Friday when I do my match preview for the Brentford match. As we got to do with every preview video, we got to wrap this up with my score prediction. And and I feel like this is a match that's going to be really hard to call. I think it could be tilted either way. It's honestly a 50-50. And my gut tells me we get a draw. Unfortunately. Yeah, I think it's going to be 1-1. I think we're going to score first, but they're going to get a late winner. And it's going to suck, man, because I want us to get in the top 8. But all my analysis, all my deep dive into how they play, what they do, how they set up. Yeah, you could say Manchester United were very open and we could score against them, but they're very dogged. So unless we get one of their center backs sent off, I think they have the youth and the energy to try and track back. And our issue is scoring. And when you're asking me to put faith in Taiwo Awaniyi or Dan Ndoye up top, that's a shaky thing you're asking me to put faith in. It really is. So could our substitutes make an impact? I want to say yes. Douglas Luiz could come on. Hutchinson could come on.
Are you sure about that?
All these players could come on. My issue is Sean Dyche seems to be averse to the idea of substituting players. And for me, that's going to be a killer issue. I think if we get to the 70 or 80th minute and it's still 0-0, I think Sean Dyche will make changes, very attacking changes. But that's the point in which I think we could concede. But hey, let me know what you think. Make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe down below. And I want to hear your feedback. I enjoy talking in the comments a lot. And the most important thing always is to remember this. Come on, you Reds!